Brewcast is back, baby.
This Brewcast episode is brought to you by the Brewcast Store. Explore a store filled with awesome goodies from hoodies to t-shirts to mugs. We've got you covered. Stay in style with Brewcast. Embrace the shock, set the trend. Visit now brew-cast.com/store. Link below.
Brewcast is back, baby. Feel the rhythm shake. Hear the guitar wailing. Let the music break.
Alright, hi everyone, welcome back to another Brewcast episode. If it's your first time watching the show, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please rank the show 5 stars. This will ensure that the podcast is recommended to even more people and allow me to keep doing what I love. Brewcast also on Instagram, X, and TikTok, where I upload shorts with the highlights of the show. So follow now, Brewcast on Instagram, X, and TikTok. Links on the description below. Hey there, Brewcast fans, you know what's up? It's time for the giveaway. We did one of those giveaways already. It's happening again. It was a huge success. All you have to do is subscribe. It's very simple. You subscribe right now and you might get this beautiful, awesome, sexy, amazing cap. We gave one of those away. We're doing it again. This one will be given away at the end of January 2025. And that's it. That's basically it. All you have to do is subscribe. It's a worldwide event, giveaway. So no matter where you are, we're going to make sure this is delivered to you. So that's about it. Subscribe. Our guest today is Elias Kouloures. How are you doing, my friend?
Fine, thank you. And thankfully, one of those caps saved my life from a burning building that collapsed. So subscribe now to Brewcast.
Exactly. Guys, you heard him firsthand here at Brewcast. Subscribe.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. Pleasure to be here.
All right, of course. Thank you so much for being here, man. I saw your profile. I was like, I need to talk to him. You worked with Amazon, BMW, Coca-Cola, like the biggest of the biggest in the world as a marketing expert. How was that?
In the end, I worked at the agencies who worked for them.
Okay.
And then, I mean, it depends. First, you start out as a small cog, you know, as an intern, as a junior writer, and then you elevate. And then at some point, you also get FaceTime with the clients. As soon as you reach senior level, or if you're like a creative director, which you evolve into, hopefully, if you're good enough and old enough. So yeah, it's interesting. It's exhausting. It's a lot of ego, which I find very hard being an autistic person and having no ego, basically, because I was always focused about the work. And since I only found out about my autism when I was 40, I had a struggle a bit, you know, because my work was great, but you don't get those in between the lines things, you know. And so that was the challenging part, yeah, juggling that.
All right, but the way you said it, especially at the beginning, like no ego, it sounds like a perk, sounds like a positive, because ego, especially like in the professional settings, I know way too many stories of how toxic it was. So I can see that as a positive. You don't get ego involved.
Yeah, I think it's also, I see it the same. I believe, you know, that, I mean, there are things that are factual. For example, gravity. This pen just falls down, you know, some things. And I think many things can be boiled down to factual facts and to reasons, especially even in marketing. Yeah? But the problem is you also, as soon as you get a creative department involved, then there's more emotion than rationality usually involved, and I kind of get it because, you know, they're more empathic people generally, but and some things, you know, did you like the color blue better than red? And of course there's even a science to the colors and stuff, yeah, but again, people also, because you have those hierarchies, you know, the status game and stuff, and I think that's especially with autistic people, they tend to see that. I mean, you learn that over time, but for me, it's always I never differentiated between the cleaning person or the CEO, which some CEOs liked, and they liked my honesty, my directness, my no filter approach. But I said, you have a lot of people who understandably fought their way up. So I get it that some of them might be very protective. And then if there's somebody who actually is really a compulsive workaholic and who digs himself into topics and then suddenly starts understanding topic better than you who's been doing this, then of course, then at some point it gets less pleasant, because that's what autistic people do, especially Asperger's. I mean, look at Elon Musk or Greta Thunberg. You can go so much into detail, and at some point, people just get annoyed.
All right, no, let's backtrack a bit. You mentioned some alcoholic going crazy. Like, where was I'm sure it was at Coca-Cola. What happened? That was the story.
What do you mean? I think you must misheard something. What do you mean with alcoholic?
I understood you say alcoholic, like
no, workaholic.
Workaholic. My mistake.
Yeah. No, the thing is, I mean, I can tell you one example where I went above and beyond, because I always want to produce a good product. Yeah. For example, I was working for Merck, which is a pharma company, a huge global pharma company, MERCK, Merck. Yeah. And they were, for example, they hired me as a freelancer and my partner to promote one of their accelerators, and the audience were like founders in the biotech sphere, so people who are really smart and who have a new groundbreaking idea, and then you get the marketing brief, and my first instinct is always like, okay, you have to understand the product or the service, otherwise if you don't understand it, you can't advertise for it. I mean, that's at least my logic, my rationale. And then I just dug into all of and I don't have a PhD. I don't have a medical or pharma training, whatever. But for me, it was I need to write something that appeals to really smart PhD level doctors and scientists who we want to convince to join Merck, to join the accelerator program. And then I wrote stuff, and I recall in the first meeting with a marketing lady where she didn't understand my copy that I was writing, and then of course having not those fine social skills, I just told her, well, you're not the target audience. It's meant for scientists, and I told her like, maybe show it to your experts and stuff. I mean, it's not very. I could have dealt it better, but it was basically I understood after 2 days her product and her company better than her, and I also showed that in the writing, and and then people get annoyed.
I totally get what you're saying, and for those who not work like in big corporations, there's a thing like there's the hard skills and there are the social skills, and apparently in many of those big corporations, like the top people, they might have the hard skills, of course, but from my experience is like most of the times they are there because of the soft skills. If you look at politicians, for example, what are they? They well, let's not get into that. But the thing is, like, there's a lot of power involved in politics, and like, you need to have good social skills to be involved in that domain, like, because it can get it's all about, I don't want to say it's all about egos, because I don't think it is. There's always like exceptions, of course, but there's always a lot of ego involved, and words, like, they're tricky if you don't use the correct word and the correct timing. People will misunderstand you. I mean, I just misunderstood you. I thought you said alcoholic, but you said workaholic. So, and we're just like in a relaxed, casual conversation. Imagine like there's millions at stake, so I totally get what you mean.
Yeah, but the point that you're making is actually pretty good and very relevant, because I've worked the last 10 years as a freelancer, or 10 and a half years, and I worked for, I think, 350 projects for 150 or 140 different companies, mostly in Germany, but also a few in Europe, and the interesting part is, which is also very relevant now for large language models and AI, is that most people, even if I'm talking to someone, who's a German, and even though German is just my second language, it's basically my native tongue because I lived most of my life here. And even if I talk to a fellow German, male or female, no matter, in a company, and we talk about terms like strategy or what a headline or a concept is, even within the companies, when I just switch to another room and talk to this person, there might be a difference of definition, and that's, for example, what would be my first hint for the audience and the listeners. And I'm also holding a workshop, by the way, in 3 days in Frankfurt. It's also going to be interesting. But the biggest learning is because large language models, they read the whole internet, and they know all those definitions. So when you ask them, okay, give me a strategy, give me this, it knows 50 different kinds of strategies. Just be specific. What do you want? What kind of strategy? What do you want in it? And with everything, with every term, when you ask something, be very, very specific. And this is my happiest revelation I had 2 years ago, is that the specificity I have and my brain, it harmonizes amazingly with AI, with large language models. This is the biggest joy in my life.
Wow, that's super interesting. I totally agree. Like, you really need to be specific with AI. I've been using ChatGPT like all the time. I won't get into the details, but I got in a tricky situation the other day involving like a contract, and I was the whole time I was like, I'm not paying a lawyer to review that. I can just use ChatGPT for free. And the whole time I was just asking ChatGPT like several questions, and I would get like a very specific answer that I was not very happy about. I was like, fuck, I might need to contact a lawyer. The end of the story, I end up contacting a lawyer, and the lawyer like just instantly asked, like, when is this contract ending? And it was like in a certain date, in 2 weeks from now. And the lawyer said, well, in this case, whatever you signed does not apply. And I was like, whoa. ChatGPT told me the opposite. And then the lawyer, of course, he left. And he was like, what the fuck you're talking with ChatGPT? The thing is, I never once specified. I specified everything that you could imagine, Elias, but I never specified that the end of the contract or the beginning of the contract would be like in 2 weeks from now. I forgot to mention this specific detail about the specific date, and it changed everything. So you really need to be like, when it comes to large language models, you need to be specific, man.
I mean, I can give you 2 hints for this case, especially. I mean, first of all, did you see the difference with the lawyer and ChatGPT? The lawyer, you gave him more or her more context, like when does it end? You didn't give that to the large language model. And of course, sometimes you don't know what information does it need.
Yeah.
For example, with any kind of prompt you write, because I often have people like asking me, I'm trying to do this and this with this prompt, why doesn't it work? I'm telling those people, no, the Lackmus test is give it to someone without any extra explanation, because that's how the large language model gets it. So that's the first thing. The second thing is what I can recommend you do when you have another case like this, you just end your prompt, ask follow-up questions until you're 95% sure you have all the information and know what I want specifically. Whoa. And then if you do that, it will just ask you questions. And I wouldn't do 100% because then probably you'll never end. But if you do like this, 95%, and then you'll be amazed how much question it asks, and it goes on. But then you need to bring time. But this is, for example, just one line you add at the end. And another trick is also what I highly recommend is if you have one large language model, check upon the work of another large language model. So you do something with ChatGPT, and then you give the prompt and the conclusion and the documents, PDF, whatever, give it to, for example, I love Claude more than ChatGPT. Then you give it to Claude and tell it, okay, this is my task, this is my document, this is what ChatGPT said, double check it, yeah? And then you even more decrease the risk of it's never at the moment not going to be 100%, but it's nearly 100%. The way I prompt, I have almost zero, like 0.2% hallucinations, because I know how I and also I always give it all the information. So what most people do, it's called zero-shot prompting. You know, you give a prompt, you want something, and you expect the large language model to know it. You know, but the way I see it, it's just a logic machine. So dump all the information you have into it, and then just ask it to compute it. This is, in my opinion, one of the better approaches. Yeah.
That's amazing, dude. Like that's what your workshop's about, right? Because that's so good.
Actually, I'm giving a workshop for Universal Pictures, a film company, the German division, and I'm teaching them a few basics. This is also one chart with a 95%. I just put it in today, and I'm showing them on 2 cases how to use it on promotions of 2 movies. One is going to be the new Michael Jackson movie for next year. It's going to come out, just called Michael, and how to promote it, you know. And I'm actually really interested to see, because I saw what they did before, and yeah, Michael 2025. Oh, what's that? I think that's not Michael.
What the
yeah,
fuck? Oh, I'm not sharing the screen, but what the fuck is this?
No. It's not. This is not the movie. It's because this is 1996. It's 2025. Yeah, 2025.
Okay.
2025.
I just like
Yeah, this one.
just a ninja movie showed up. So.
Yeah. This movie.
Wow, who's the actor playing this movie?
For me, in my opinion, it's more like a documentary with new footage, I believe. But I didn't get much information. So also what I show them, how you can actually approach a problem or a task with no information. Because I was booked via another agency, and they just gave me like the IMDb link, and like there's just very little information, like 2 or 3 lines, and then I just, you know, I'm compulsive. I can get information almost anywhere, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting to show them what I did. I mean, I even created an AI avatar, Michael Jackson, as an angel in heaven. I synthesized his voice, so he's going to be talking to the audience there at my workshop, and like with this real Michael Jackson voice. I just took a few of his interviews and just copied his voice, and he's going to talk to the workshop participants. Yeah.
This is the coolest or the creepiest thing that I have ever heard. I'm not sure yet.
I can clone you with ease. I just take 2 or 3 of your podcasts. And I just yeah, but that's the technology. I mean, that's where we're heading.
So you're mostly working on a freelance basis. For example, I have a product or a service that I want to promote, I want to push out there, and I contact you, and you develop the whole marketing campaign for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm basically a creative problem solver, and I have 8 or 9 different degrees. I've spent like 20 years in marketing and advertising agencies. I mean, the last 15 years in perm employment and 10 years now freelance. And I also worked like in Hong Kong, New York. And before that, I was in an IT company. And yeah, so I help people. I can help with marketing. I can help also optimize companies, you know, because now the financial situation is getting harsher, you know, and so you need to become more efficient as a company. And I can analyze basically how do you make stuff more efficient. One example that I'm pretty proud of that you can use by yourself or anybody who's listening. You know what first principles are? First principles thinking?
No.
I mean, no, first principles thinking is basically if you condense everything down. I'll tell you a metaphor. So if you're a cook, you know, if you cook food, there's a hobby cook who just follows a recipe, and that's what most people do. They learn a skill and then just follow it how they were taught, you know. And what a chef does, he or she knows each ingredient, each interaction, each tool, and this enables them to create something new, so that's first principles thinking, and somebody who's a cook, and you can apply that to anything. And for example, Elon Musk does it, and many in Silicon Valley that do it because it's just more efficient. Just strip away everything. And what I did now, for example, I'm really proud of that I managed to put those first principles into a GPT, like an OpenAI GPT that you can find on my website, you can use for free, you don't need to register anything. I just did it, just out of boredom. And you can throw any business plan into there. And even if you don't want to put your data in, you can find every annual report of every listed company on the exchange, on the trade exchange. And for example, to test it, I took from the German government the annual planning, and I just threw it in and just said like, yeah, find 10 ways to optimize the return on invest to streamline it. And it immediately streamlined 35 billion euros out of it. Just like do this, and you can do it with anything. And it's just like the logic is now in there, and people can use it for free. So basically, you can have a small Elon Musk who strips away your business plan and makes it more efficient. So that's what I do for fun.
For fun.
Yeah.
All right, man, that's impressive. But dude, I think looking back, right now we're in the middle of the whole AI revolution, right? I think looking back, people will analyze history like there was the Industrial Revolution, and then there was the AI revolution. Maybe there's something else in the middle there, like the iPhone. I don't know. I don't know what the historians will say, but AI was definitely being the history books, right? Because like I just saw like things like the one person can do nowadays, like what you just described, is impressive. Like it's never imagined before. Just saw recently on Instagram that AI is now detecting breast cancer more accurately than most doctors. And AI can translate animal language. AI can blah, blah, blah. Like AI can do this. AI can do everything. I mean, not everything, but it's reaching there. Like, we're talking about Elon Musk, right? He's developing those humanoid hybrid, not hybrid, but humanoid robots. Optimus. As far as I know, those were controlled by people in the latest presentation. But the final goal is to be everything driven by AI. How crazy is that? I'm not ready to live in this world.
Well, I think not everything, or there are some parts. The way I see AI and the way I understand it is, first of all, we need more efficiency generally, especially in Germany. I mean, I think you also live in Germany, if I'm not mistaken, and we are a very inefficient country, and that's what's currently really crippling us. But there are two factors that are still the one is like the highly logical and mathematical stuff is still challenging, and I believe it's not 100% replacement of human thinking. So the lateral creativity, for example, if you if you have those, because AI is basically a structure and logic machine that can find, in huge, as you said, the X-rays, it's basically pattern recognition, and it can do that on a level that no human can already now. But what a really, really good creative person can do, and I've seen a few of them in the creative agency space, and surely there are also others, is like to think completely new, to just this lateral sidestepping thing. And I haven't seen that yet in AI. I mean, you can, for example, in my opinion, if you say, write this text like Shakespeare, this is not a creative. You're just recreating a pattern that has been trained into it because it's learned how Shakespeare writes, or like Eminem, or whatever you prefer. But and a lot of innovation is just combining two things. Yes, this is what AI can do too. But this lateral thinking, I think this is, if you're really creative and if you practice this creative lateral thinking as a human, this will give you a competitive edge. And I believe the best way is to augment it, not to replace humans, but to augment humans, to make them better. And the jobs are going to change if you do it right. But most companies make the mistake that they automate stuff and then they fire people. But the thing is, yes, you have to be more efficient and cost efficient and faster, but you also have to evolve. For example, if you look on my website, I just have a subpage I call AI transformation, where also just out of pure boredom, and actually because I was pissed off because I saw a Volkswagen, the executives on TV saying like, they only have 2 ideas in their development department is 6,500 people, and they have 2 ideas: fire people and close factories, and make more expensive EV cars, like electric cars, yeah. And then when I just like triggered me, and I said like, fuck this shit, and I now go and invest a whole day, like 12 to 14 hours, and I analyze a company, and I break it down, and I make a roadmap of innovations. For Volkswagen, I did it for Datev, I did it. Even there's one case where I imagined I was Elon Musk and I have his 8 companies, what I would do. And this is all unpaid stuff. I just do it to show people that innovation is not that hard. You just need to understand. And the worst part is we're just, especially in Germany, we're not moving forward. And that's going to be really a huge ass problem, because we're now firing tens of thousands of employees in some of the biggest and most important companies. Because if Volkswagen goes bankrupt, there's like hundreds of supplier companies that rely on their business,
I see. Wow. Whew. I mean, when you say innovation is not that hard, it's coming from a creative mind. You're a creative person. You are like a problem solving, as you mentioned before. Those people that are up there that are only thinking about cut employees and create more expensive EV cars. I don't think that innovation is that easy for them, because at the end of the day, their world is like making money. Let's making more money, and how can we make more money? It's all like numbers, and I think they really need someone like you to think outside of the box. So for them, it might be extremely hard to innovate.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure they have quite a few smart people. I mean, if it's just the development company or department of Volkswagen is 6,500 people, just experts in AI and whatever. And I'm pretty sure there are a few good ones there. So I'm just wondering, why the hell are they not moving forward? Because the way I see it, I'm a very simple person, and I see, for example, it's about transportation coming from point A to point B. And nobody would now build a company to create horse carriages, because it's just like, people, there are better things than horse carriage. And the same is with cars, cars, of course, you need cars, but there are so many different ways to get people from point A to B, and also especially in Southeast Asia, where you have a lot of congestion, the traffic is gonna go vertical. So there's gonna be a lot of traffic gonna move through the skies. I mean, this is inevitable. Just if you look at the population growth, especially in Southeast Asia, where there's like 1/3 of the human population in a very small circle around Singapore and China and stuff, and India, So yeah, sorry, I don't want to get on a rant tangent.
That's beautiful. I mean, you can rant. It's fine. I would like to ask you. You mentioned Claude earlier. So Claude is an AI. What is Claude?
Claude is a large language model. I mean, you have different kinds of AI, and ChatGPT and Claude, they're large language models or regression models, as they say, but it's basically the speaky things, but they're now also starting to become multimodal. And multimodal means just they don't only understand written text, but they also now start to analyze images, and videos is also going to come. I mean, it's already some can look at videos. Basically, the way I have a very nice metaphor I always like to tell people, because when they ask me, how do I use those LLMs, large language models like ChatGPT or Claude? And I always tell them, think of it as the most over-motivated and smartest intern in the world who takes drugs and has Alzheimer's. Because I'm going to explain it. So, and it's specifically, and I mean it. This is one of the most important sentences you should put on your wall if you ask yourself, how should I use it? This over motivated, because whatever you put into it, you always get some kind of response, you know. And often it might be, if you put shit in, shit is going to come out. Smartest in the world because they've read the whole internet now. We're already having the issue that we need more data, because like Albert Einstein, you know, he's only so smart because he read so much and he learned so much. And it's with all smart people, they need to read stuff, and the same with AI, but now they've read the whole internet. So over-motivated, smartest in the world. Intern because they don't have any of your internal information. So if you use it at a company, they know everything that's publicly available, you know, Wikipedia and whatever, and Stack Overflow and GitHub. Yeah, they've read billions of websites, but they don't have any internal. So you have to give them internal data, and there's also ways to do it. Or your data, like your private data, like your contracts, whatever. Yeah. Most over-motivated, smartest intern, drugs because they hallucinate, you know. Yeah, and Alzheimer's is because they have a context window, you know. So if you can also get in a dialogue with them and discuss like we do, but as soon as you reach, as their context window is full, they start to forget the stuff above, like an Alzheimer person, you know. So and this is whenever the next time you use, just think of the sentence, you know. And this sentence just explains how to use it, how to talk to it, and what you have to be aware of, you know?
Wow. I love that sentence.
Yeah.
I'm going to use it from now on. That's so
I
interesting.
can send you the chart with a sentence.
Yeah, please do. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's the perfect definition. But my follow-up question is, for how long do you think those large language models will have Alzheimer's and will be on drugs? Because at the pace that those things are evolving, my guess is that the next step is that they stop taking the drugs, they stop hallucinating, but they remain creative. You know, do you think that's the next step?
I mean, you have the discussion if the hallucinations go away is still strongly debated in the community. And to be honest, I have people who I respect a lot on both sides of the spectrum, and I don't know. I really can't tell, but because internally, you know, the large language models, they are just matrix multiplications, and then they calculate a probability of what the next word is. Basically, like the smartphone, the autocomplete on the smartphone, just extremely enlarged. So it might be part, but you know, there are ways to mitigate it. And I said, I rarely have any hallucinations. Of course, you should always double check your output. But for example, there was one interesting thing, a study that came out a few weeks ago, where they had like 3 test groups in the clinic, and they had to do diagnosis, and they asked doctors with AI and only AI. I think it was ChatGPT. So, and then they just looked at how the percentage of correctness, yeah. And the interesting part was that doctors alone were like 75-ish% right without AI, or 72. With AI, with ChatGPT, they were like 76, so like marginally better. And ChatGPT alone was 92% correct. Yeah. So basically, the doctors didn't trust the AI and worsened the result. So, and then the last thing with the length, well, I believe this is pretty sure that they're going to extend it. Mustafa Süleyman, who works, I think, at Microsoft at the moment, or Google, one of those, he recently said that he predicts, and I'm not in the science team, but they're working on extending it. And if you use, for example, Google's Gemini, it already has 2 million tokens input window. And they said in scientific studies or lab conditions, they managed to get 10 million tokens in, and tokens are almost like if you put in a text, it's going to be chopped down into little fragments. Yeah, it's not words specifically, but kind of words. It's like 0.75 words is one token. So basically, you get 7 million words. You can push in Google's Gemini in their labs into it, and it can compute it. But as I said, there are also other ways to have huge amount of data if you put a vector database on it. But I think it's pretty sure that the length is going to increase if the hallucinations go away. I can't tell, but I assume they're going to find ways to mitigate it.
Wow. And that's because we are not using quantum computers yet, right?
Quantum is not my expertise, but when you mentioned before, what most people don't see, that most people see AI is coming, but we are actually having 4 waves that are hitting us. The first one is the AI wave everybody sees. Then you have the biotechnology wave. Then you have the robotic wave, and then the quantum computer wave, and they're all hitting us at the same time. Yeah, so my prediction, and many scientists also go along with it, is that our lifespan is going to increase drastically very quickly. So by the end of this century, we're probably going to be capable of living 500 years plus.
What?
Yes, and then the next thing you need to think about is, okay, so we are living on a planet and societies that are built for 80 to 100 years lifespan. What do you think this will mean for societies in general if people suddenly get like 5 or 7 times as old?
Wait a minute. So our lifespans, scientists predict that our lifespans will increase to around 500 years due to the fact we're going to be hit by those 4 waves. Quantum computers, the first one is AI, and then quantum computers. Go ahead, bio.
And robotics.
Robotics and
biotechnology.
Biotechnology and quantum computers. I think from all of those 4, they all influence each other, of course, but I would say the bio one is probably the one that will play the biggest role in extending our lives, right?
Yeah, but AI is helping with the bio. If you look at the Nobel Prize this year, that 3 or 4 Nobel Prizes went to, like in chemistry and I think in physics, went to discoveries that were made with AI. It's called the AlphaFold by Google. And the AlphaFold, what they basically did, and it's now already the 3rd version, is proteins. Proteins are very complex, and back in the days, like a few years ago, it was nearly impossible to predict how it would fold. And we have many proteins and many different kind of cells. And then a few years ago, they made AlphaFold 1, and they managed to predict how proteins would fold. And now they already have dissected, I think, 200 million different kinds of proteins and minerals and whatever, and they even put it online as a public service, as an open source service where people can look it up. So basically, all that Google did is they, and now they can, with I think 90%. Don't get me. I'm not sure if the percentage is right at the moment, but it's just getting increasingly better. So you're gonna have personalized medicine very soon, so then you also get the side effects away. They're planning to transplant heads of people onto other people within the next 5 to 6 years. There's so many things that are happening. Or what the Chinese already did is they grew like a brain tissue in a little like a bowl or whatever, and then on the brain tissue they put a large language model like the program did, and then put the fleshy brain onto a metal android, and it walked around. So it's like, science fiction and everything you ever thought of as a kid is now suddenly getting real at a speed that is just breathtaking. And that's why I'm so annoyed when I look at Germany and the discussions that we're having. We're just sleepwalking.
Ooh. I'm not sure if I like this future. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, that's why, when something happens to you, whatever it is, I'd rather be in the know and know how to deal with it than just how's this bird called that puts his head into the sand. I mean that's basically the strategy that we're doing at the moment in Germany. We're discussing stuff, and that's why it's just so hilariously sad. And for me, it's also because I look here directly here. I look onto the German Parliament, and I see them. And I didn't even turn off the light now. It's and it's night, and they whatever. And all those discussions they're having. It's just so. I always thought of myself. I'm not that smart, but the older I get, and the more I follow politics, it's just like. Why? Why do we get paid for what?
But Elias, let me play devil's advocate for a second. I love to do that in the podcast. I have so much fun because the thing is, when you start mentioning about growing brains and moving fast into this future where we're gonna have bio, what was the term again? Biotech in our own bodies. Like, I'm a little bit skeptical because it seems like we're navigating into uncharted territories, and there's always a risk, right?
Of course.
And one of the reasons that I love being in Europe is that, contrary to the US, Europeans, they like to tend to be a little bit more on the safe side of things. Let me give an example. I know that France for many years fought Apple against removing the headphones from the iPhones because they claimed that the iPhone had radiation and was harmful to the brain. Therefore, you were required to have some type of in-ear device to be able to communicate without the dangers of radiation. That's an example. Another example, I know that Apple, I follow a lot of Apple news, another Apple example. I know there's many others, but those are the ones on the top of my head. I know that Apple just introduced Apple Intelligence, their AI model. And straight away, it's already available in the US. Everyone's using it. It's great. The EU was like, whoa. Let's take a moment there. What is this collecting? Where's this information is going to? Let's analyze first because the security of our citizens comes first. Last example, outside of tech, I know there's. I was talking with a health specialist in the show the other day. A lot of foods that are banned in the EU are sold in the US because they're for whatever reason. So I really like the fact that sometimes we take things a little bit slowly. I think sometimes it's better to be safe, than sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you with most parts. With the food also, I mean, you just have to look at McDonald's. The French fries in America, they have like 12 ingredients, while in Europe they only have 2 or something, like salt and one other. So yes, I agree with you with the safety. I mean, the situation as it is right now, and it might not be pleasing, but that's what it is. You're too young, you might not remember, but there was this nuclear race with atom bombs, Russia versus America. I mean, probably heard of it. And a few countries now have nuclear weapons, yeah. But the thing is, and that's also one of the issues when it comes to Putin, that and of course he could theoretically shoot it, but then it would be a worldwide Holocaust because everybody would shoot everyone, and then the world would end. So, but what happens now? At the moment, there is an AI arms race, and the only two. Yeah, there's an AI arms race for the super intelligence, and at the moment, the only 2 at the top are America and China. So basically, back then it was Russia and America. Now it's America and China, and that's what's driving a lot of the investments. So if you look at, because as I said before, you need a lot of information to train a large language models. They're getting bigger and bigger and better in the algorithms and whatever. And the difference with a super intelligence and a nuclear bomb is that a super intelligence you can use, and if it's good enough, you can even hack everything, because an atom bomb, you can shoot it once and then everyone's gone, because of the retaliation. But if you have a super intelligence, then you can theoretically dominate the world. And that's the one thing. And the other thing is you're going to be super dependent, because what it basically is, it's intelligence. It's just digital intelligence. And at the moment, some systems are like the ChatGPT 01 is measured to be about at the 120 IQ level. I mean, you can't 100% compare it, and there are many benchmarks, yada yada. But bottom line, AI is just going to get smarter and smarter, even though you have the constant discussion if it can get to super intelligence. I'm pretty sure it will, because there's so much money flowing into it, and if you just look at America now, we for example in Germany, we're one of, I think, the only or one of the few countries who don't have like nuclear power, like nuclear reactors, while in America, Microsoft and other companies are now starting to build their data centers with nuclear reactors next to it, because you need so much energy just to power the computers for the AI, and I heard, like, I'm not sure if it's true, but I read somewhere that just this year alone, Microsoft was putting 1 or 2 data centers ordering per week. Yeah. So, or if you look at Elon Musk's new Colossus cluster, where he put 100,000 of those NVIDIA clusters, and I just calculated it. Have an Apple laptop, top of the line, and I just calculated that one of those chips has, I think, 25,000 times the compute power of my highest Apple laptop. Yeah, and he has a cluster with 100,000 of them. Just imagine the electricity you need, and that's also why we in Germany and Europe can't compete. I mean, that's just Mistral in France, who are doing an amazing job. And the bottom line is, if we don't at least do something, we're just going to become an open air museum for American and Chinese visitors.
I had no idea of any of this. An AI arms race. That's so interesting. So, 1 second, you mentioned Mistral in France?
Mistral AI. May put Mistral AI.
Mistral
Yes.
AI. Wow. 1 second, guys. Let's look at it. Let's look it up. Mistral AI is a French company specialized
Amazing.
in artificial intelligence, or in other words, AI products. So it's from Paris. So are they famous for something already?
They are basically, everything they do is amazing. They invented like the mixture of experts, architecture, which is a certain kind of architecture, and the great part about them is just the speed and the quality, because no European company is near their quality. I mean, we have a few and many in France, like Hugging Face, who basically host all those AI data sets. But Mistral, the founder, I mean, one of the challenges, for example, that you have is also very unpopular to say that, but I'm just going to mention it. And the founder, because he hinted at it in an interview. One scientist, and I love studies in science, one scientist, his surname was called Price, I forgot the first name, and he found out Price's square root law, which says that incompetence and inefficiency in any kind of organization grows exponentially. So if you have a company with 10 people, the root of it, the square root of the 10 is 3-ish something, do 50% of the work. If you have a company with 100 people, then 10 do 50% of the work. If you have a company with 1,000 people, 100 people do 50% of the work. That's the Price's square root law. And so basically, the bigger an organization gets, the more inefficient it gets. That's why we need also AI to help us in efficiency. And the Mistral founder, he just hinted at it because he was working at Google, which is a pretty good company. But he also said that he set up his teams completely different, like 5-people teams. Like he has 10 5-people teams when at the time of the interview, and that's why they're so quick and efficient. They founded the company and they very quickly brought out this Mistral, their large language model, and it's it's pretty high up on the level that the Americans produce. Of course, it's not as good as Claude or ChatGPT, but they work with like a small fraction of the funding, and they open source a lot. And it's in France. It's a European thing. So respect. If anybody knows Mistral, send them my wishes. They're amazing. Yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting. I had no idea about any of this. And so those are the types of companies that you think are not being developed in Germany.
No, sadly not, because I said I at one time I heard about like it was a consultant who had a workshop in the Netherlands, and it was a workshop for European executives, yeah, and he wanted to do an exercise, and he was like executives from Germany, from France, whatever, and he just wanted to do a workshop and ask them around. So when they think of Germany, what do they think? And he wanted to get multiple answers and replies to it. But they unanimously said all the same thing, you know. What do they think about Germany? Bureaucracy, yeah. And that's the problem, because yes, it's good to be precise, yeah, and that also there's a value in it, but if you're just not moving forward, you know, and that's why one of the mantras in Silicon Valley is fail faster, yeah, or fail fast and break things. Of course, sometimes they overdo it, and with AI you should be careful, because there's like a little percentage that it will kill us all. Yeah, I mean the percentage exists, but also a lot of smart people who work very hard to align those systems, and that's why, for example, I love Claude so much, because Anthropic, in my opinion, is the best AI large language model company at the moment. I mean, Google has done a lot of good things when it comes to research and AlphaFold, but you can also tell from their speed, you know, and if you use Gemini, you know, it's huge, and now it went up all the benchmarks. But you know, I'm weary about the benchmarks. I use those things, and I also, when I write a prompt, you know, and I write prompts that are up to 30,000 words, and I do that just to test it, just to experiment, and I throw it into different large language models, and then I just see how they react, and then I just compare it, you know. And therefore, yeah, it's an adventure, and it's constantly changing. But that's where my ADHD comes in, because I'm loving it.
Oh man, that's a wonderful way of putting it. That's so interesting. Me and my buddy of mine were talking about this exact same problem the other day. Like, not problem, but we're talking about the fact there are different types of large language models out there, and we're like just pondering like how this will look like in the future. We're gonna have each one of them specializing in their own thing. That's what we believe in. Or what might also happen is like there's a monopoly, like Google. There's only one that's gonna be used by everyone, and that's the case. What do you think is the most likely scenario?
No, I think that, I mean, when you look now at the moment, what most people are not aware of, there are frontier models, those high-end models that are the biggest, that need the most compute, and like Google has it, or Anthropic, or OpenAI. And as said, think of it, as I said before, of the intern, you know, think of it more of a human. And so they have different characteristics, because first of all, it depends what data have been trained on, yeah, and then also what guardrails are being put in by the people who create them, yeah. Then also, for example, one of the most interesting podcasts I listened to was like I think it was a 5-hour podcast from 3 from the Anthropic people, the CEO, one of the prompt ladies that said how she works with Claude, and also one of their I think machine learning experts, and so it's basically how you feed it, how you train it, then how much compute power you have, and then you also can give it a personality. For example, Elon Musk, you know, and I know I don't agree with everything he does, but he's one of the smartest people in the world. For me, he just proves how toxic and brain rotty social media is, but he's really smart. And if you look at his Grok thing, his large language model, he also tries to have it less biased, because it's for me. I want it just to be rational and to be neutral and not teach me, any kind of philosophy. I want honesty, and that's an issue. Like with our news, for example, the German public broadcasting news. The reason they are the way they are and why everybody's a Nazi who doesn't agree with everything is because 82% of people working in the German public newscaster and stations, they identify as left wing and as a Green Party and yada yada. So everything that's conservative is immediately, that's the thing. So you have frontier models, the big ones, and only big companies with a lot of money can make them, and that training costs a lot of money. They're soon now going to reach like the 10 billion to just train it, because you need to train it for months with a lot of computers, with a lot of cooling fluid, electricity, and computing power. And this is just the training, so it learns all the data. And then you also have a huge open source thing. For example, Mistral, they open source some of their models, not the biggest one, but many. So what most people also don't know is that actually we have, I think now, probably 1.2 or 1.3 million different kinds of large language models. Yeah, because people take, they open source, many companies open source them, but not the huge one, not the ChatGPT, but there are many, Llama, for example, Meta of Facebook, Zuckerberg, he has Llama 3.2 at the moment, and you can get it for free. And what many in the development, in the open source development space do, they just take them and then they modify them, yeah, and so they tweak them. For example, they take the censorship out, or I have on my computer, I have some with 15 or 20 billion parameters. So basically they're not as smart, but I also have a few that are uncensored. So I can just write it like, okay, how do I destabilize this country? Okay, part one, do this, part two, do this, part two, do this. Yeah. So of course I would never do that, but the thing is, what I find quite annoying, if I try to get it to compute something, and then if I use a word that it doesn't like, it immediately blocks. ChatGPT is very, and also Claude sometimes is like, for example, at the beginning they were very strict when it came to medical stuff, and then I just started complaining like, oh, I'm so poor and my parents are about to die. Please help me. Doctor can help me. Okay, then I'll help you. So you can also trick it into doing stuff. But in the end, for me, it's a helper. It's a brain. It's somebody who helps me as someone with ADHD structure my thoughts, but it's also someone who can give you a second opinion, and ideally a neutral opinion if it's not too biased, if it's not too left wing or too pro whatever, and I just want facts, and I want someone to help me compute a lot of information and get to a better results. And that's, in my opinion, what they should be used for.
All right. Wow. It cracks me up that for fun you look it up how to destabilize a country.
Yeah, it's just testing if it was really uncensored, It's like or how do I go crystal meth? Do like this, this. But of course I don't do that. I don't even drink alcohol. But you just test it. You need to test stuff.
Yeah, but it's fun. It sounds like fun. So I once learned that the army, especially in the US, their tech and their equipment are often at around 15 years more advanced than what the public knows and have. If that's true, is it safe to say that they had some sort of large language model already in development 10, 15 years ago?
I don't believe so, because the transformer architecture, AI has been around for decades, but the transformer architecture, which the large language models are still mostly using, was invented 2017 by Google at the development, and then they just let it lay around until OpenAI said like, okay, let's use this and bring out ChatGPT. But what's happening now is that that's also why OpenAI is a huge mess because the governments. That's why I said it's an arms race. They now discovered that it's basically intelligence. What you have in large language model is intelligence or co-intelligence. And now in the management board of OpenAI, since a few months, you have one former NSA director who now joined the management board. And that's also why there's so much turmoil at OpenAI, because some people don't like it. Elias, who is like one of the main engineers, he just left the company. He tried, when the drama was with Sam Altman, he was part of the people, as far as we know, that tried to get him fired, and now he left, and now he has his own SSI, super safe, super intelligence. It's his new company, So, but the governments recognize it, and you might remember, or you might have heard of the Sputnik moment, when the Americans and the Russians were sending their rockets up into space, and there was the Sputnik moment when the Americans recognized, oh, damn, we need to send rockets out because the Russians had their Sputnik, And what happened in 2017 is there's also a very recommendable documentary that Google, because you have chess computers, and Google decided, let's try to get Go. There's also this checkers game, Go, you might know it.
Yep.
Yep. So, and the challenge and the difference to chess is that there are so many different kinds of moves that at that point they didn't have a computer that they could use to so they have chess computers but not Go computers, and then Google invented AlphaGo. That's also how you find it, AlphaGo documentary in 2017, and they let it compete against one of the best Go players, a South Korean, and it actually won. So sorry for spoiling it, but it's still very amazing. And of course that's when the Asians and the Communist Party realized 2017, this is something very important. And that's why, for example, if you're a founder, and the difference between the systems in America and in China is in China it's like top down. If Xi Jinping wants something to happen, then it happens. And since 2017, they have put on to their planning of the Communist Party that AI is the highest priority. So if you're a founder in China, you get thrown money after you if you have some AI thing going on. And as I said before, there's this race. America is around about half a year ahead because they started everything, and they have probably the smartest people there, but the Chinese are very hardworking people, and they have the centralist government who just pours money it. And instead of the Americans, they also didn't spend all the money on military invasions of countries, so they have much more resources. And also because they have a surveillance state, the Chinese have much more data, which is important to train the AI. So the predictions are now that at 2030, the Chinese are going to overtake the Americans technologically. That's why the Americans are going to do everything in their power to reach superintelligence before 2030.
Oh my God.
That's the situation.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Have you watched Black Mirror season 2? That's what it feels like.
You mean the dog?
No. I'm not sure if season 2. There's a season with Jess Pinkman, like the actor who played Jess, and they have this super huge intelligence that is this black computer. That's what it feels like, man. We're reaching Black Mirror state. Oh, I heard that they're not just they stopped doing Black Mirror. One of the spokesperson behind the show just said, no, we're not doing it anymore because we kind of already live in a Black Mirror reality. So what's the point? I couldn't agree more. Elias, I could keep going talking with you for hours. Like, you're such a knowledgeable person, and we're covering so many interesting topics. But I need to restrain myself. So, where people can find you? What are your links?
Just visit my website, elias.com, elias.com. I mean, if you want to close it, if you can show something with sound, I have a nice video on it. It's 1 minute long. Elias.com, and I just made a video with AI, and that's basically my mission statement. It's on the top of my website, and where it's just inspired by Conan the movie. Where I just synthesized the voice and just wrote my manifesto.
Well, we cannot share right now the screen, but we're gonna make sure to leave the link on the description below.
Oh, good. Thank you, Brew. I'm gonna send you. The charts for the AI thing, how to prompt it, and I hope that helps.
That's wonderful. Thanks so much, man. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure talking to you. Have a good night. Bye bye.
You too. Bye bye. All right, everyone. You know what time is it? It's time to subscribe. And you might win this awesome, beautiful, sexy, amazing cap. Well, I won't repeat myself. The giveaway results will be available. We're going to do the giveaway at the end of January 2025. I'm actually repeating myself, and it's a worldwide thing. So subscribe right now. All right.
Subscribe.
Subscribe, everyone. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. If it's your first time watching the show, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please rank the show 5 stars. This will ensure that the podcast is recommended to even more people and allow me to keep doing what I love. Check out now the Brewcast store, Explore store, filled with awesome goodies from hoodies to t-shirts to mugs. We've got you covered. Stay in style with Brewcast. Embrace the shock, set the trend. Buy now at brew-cast.com/store. Again, that's brew-cast.com/store. Link on the description below. Be a Brewcast model and get free stuff. We'd love to see how you and your loved ones enjoy Brewcast. Snap a picture of yourself, your family, your friends, or even your pets wearing Brewcast merch, or watching an episode of the show and send it to us and become part of Brewcast. We'll feature you and your pictures at the end of every episode, just like the ones you're seeing on the screen right now. You can upload your pictures at brew-cast.com/contact or tag us on social media. Alright everyone, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much and see you next time. Bye bye.